Zohran Mamdani, a candidate for mayor of New York City, is not only leading in the polls by double digits, but also in campaign contributions from big tech workers. According to the New York Post, Google employees have contributed the most, donating $40,000 to Mamdani's campaign. So far, he's outpaced his competition, reportedly raising about $800,000 in late June and early July. Mamdani identifies as a Shia Muslim and an admitted socialist. His critics argue that if elected, his views and policies would lead to the downfall of New York City. Well, joining us with more is former Rhodes Scholar Wanjiru Njoya, a Mises Institute scholar in residence. Wanjiru, why do you think Mamdani is leading in campaign contributions from high-tech workers, most of whom are younger millennials and Gen Zers?
That's the question everybody's asking, because when the people donating to his cause and supporting him, when they've been asked about his socialist policies and if they think it'll work, they always say no. So why are they supporting the candidate whose policies they don't identify as socialists? Why are they supporting the socialist candidate? The reason many of them are giving is that they think, he's represents a more diverse New York and more, this is the future of New York, this kind of nice sounding language that they're using. But it doesn't seem credible. And I don't know, it's mere speculation at this point. But people are saying that it may just be their way of finding the candidate that's going to allow them to get a foothold into basically pulling the strings, as politicians always do.
Well, let's look at the reality here in New York City, the global capital of finance and capitalism. And I know you're with Mises Institute, which is libertarian and believes in free markets and so forth. Mamdani proposes socialist ideas. Let's look at some of his proposals first. He says eliminating bus fares will lead to faster running and more efficient bus service for New Yorkers. You agree or disagree?
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. All his policies are crazy. He cannot possibly believe that they're going to work. Nobody believes that they're going to work. Some people have actually asked him, do you think this is going to work? And he doesn't answer. He just hedges. He says, well, you know what politicians are like. He just says things like, New Yorkers are great and we're going to have a great city. He doesn't say that he thinks it'll work, because socialism doesn't work. All that socialists do is to redistribute wealth from one party to another. So all they do is raise money from taxes and distribute that. So when he says no bus fares, we're going to put a cap on rental, all rentals will be capped by the government. He's going to run the grocery stores. He's going to fix prices. When he says all these things, he doesn't have to worry about how it's going to work, because it doesn't matter to socialists if the whole thing fails.
Well, I know that you've written about this. You know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
How about this plan to provide city-run and supplied grocery stores? I got to tell you, years ago, I was in the Soviet Union and saw the stores there. The freezers were empty, but they had a full shelf of ketchup there. So tell me about the distribution and socialist ideas for grocery stores, state-run groceries.
No, the reason socialism doesn't work is that nobody who's making decisions for these state-owned grocery stores has any way of knowing what the customers want or what the customers need or what they're going to buy or what price they're prepared to pay. This is the point that Friedrich von Hayek has always tried to make. They have a massive knowledge problem. They don't know anything about the market. Mamdani doesn't know anything about the market. That's why the stores will be full of ketchup, as in the example you give.
He says he'll pay for all of this by raising taxes on millionaires, saying what AOC often says, the rich must pay their fair share. Do the wealthy pay their fair share? What would raising taxes on them mean for New York City?
It'll be exactly as we see in the UK at the moment, that has had a socialist government since, I think, towards the end of last year. And basically, the millionaires fled the country. Why wouldn't they? They don't have to stay and pay punitive taxes. So they put up the taxes. They say, squeeze the rich, I think is their slogan. They put up the taxes. The rich flee to other jurisdictions. And look at what they're saying now in the UK. They're saying put up the taxes even higher because they need more money to fund their projects. So there is no way that people, the rich, well, you saw what the rich of New York did when New York had that crazy lockdown. They just all fled to Florida. We've seen this with New York and with California and Massachusetts to a degree, and all kind of socialist leaning states, is they start saying this needs to be federal law. That's always their next step, because otherwise everybody just flees their state, and they know this. In fact, this is why they want global taxation, because they know that people flee the state, and if they say this is now federal taxes, people flee the jurisdiction altogether. So that's why they want global taxes, global police, and basically they call it the one world, this sinister one world idea they have. That's to stop people running away from their punitive socialist policies.
Okay, today New York City, tomorrow the world. Wanjiru Njoya of the Mises Institute, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.